Daily News, Kevin Kilbane standing by. Hello.
Hi Joe, how are you keeping?
Very well, how are you?
Oh, good, yeah, not bad at all. Just getting on with things, plodding on.
Listen, that's you all over. There's loads to talk about. Needless to say, we'll be checking in on how you're doing. But first, there's Aaron Connolly. There's Everton. A few people want us to ask you about Everton. What's going on there? The Connolly thing is good, though, isn't it? Let's talk about Connolly for a second. This is the real deal.
Yeah, it's fabulous. I heard Dan. I think he was talking on OTBM on Monday, saying. It was last week, it was just after the squad was announced, and he was saying that probably Connolly deserved to be in the squad on merit for what he's done this season, the amount of game time he's had for Brighton. So I think what he did at the weekend just put it in everybody's mind that we were all feeling the same, actually. He maybe should have been in, but Mick was loyal to the players that was in and around the squad, and I just think we don't have a buzz around too many Irish players, do we? We don't have that feeling where our lads step up and score 2 Premier League goals in a game on your full Premier League debut. So yeah, it's something to get excited about, definitely.
Like Kev, there is a great buzz about him, and I think there's a desire for him to play. Like, people just want to see him play. It's not just the Johnny Wards of this world, but a lot of people just want Aaron Connolly to be involved in the game. But where do you actually play him? From your perspective, because there's been James McLean has played regularly. There's a debate over whether McLean plays at full back. It seems like Matt Doherty might be to the forefront of the left back debate. So where does Connolly fit in if you are going to get him into the side?
Yeah, I mean, that's not Galway's Johnny Ward, is it? Calling for another Galwegian to get into the squad, is it? No, but anyway, that's for another day, isn't it? Well, do you know, I think it's a big ask, Dan, and you would have seen enough of the team over years. A big ask to say, I tell you what, you're going to go and be our number 9, playing the way that we probably play, trying to get him into the game often. I would always feel it's an easier option for a manager to play in a white, or play new players or new people that have been introduced into the squad in a wider area, because there is that little bit of support and a bit of help. If you're playing through the middle as a number 9, there's a lot of responsibility. There's been a lot of responsibility on David McGoldrick, the way that we've played, get hold of the ball, take 4 and 5 touches with your back to play. I personally think that's a big ask. If we're going over to Georgia and we're asking him to be a number 9, my preference would be to play him in off the wider areas. Certainly, if he's not going to start him, Mick, I'd definitely be thinking, look, he's got to be the first or the second option off the bench. And if we are struggling, then we need a goal. He's got to be that option. So there are a number of positions that you've seen enough from yourself, Dan. You know that he's not just restricted to playing as a number 9. But I think it does give us hope that we've got a player of his type that we know, that Mick would know now, with him playing or done what he's done at a Premier League level, I could go and put him through the middle. It just might be these two are huge games. I think we know that, and that's the problem I think that we've got right now, that these 2 big games have maybe come at the wrong time for him, in terms of, I would have loved to have had him in the squad last month for that Bulgaria game, but he's in the squad now, and he's in on merit for what he's achieved this season.
And in so much as you can read into anything, the body language in all the newspapers today, all the photos from training yesterday, is really nice. Like, it's Mick sort of smiling and joking with them, and you know that Mick will create a very hospitable environment, and Connolly will be welcomed with open arms. And he was high-fiving his under-21 teammates who were kind of almost peering in over the gates at him. So it's amazing for him. If McGoldrick doesn't make it, who does lead the line?
Well, I think there's probably a number of options that's really in there for him, isn't there? There's, of course, Callum Robinson, who played there, who could play there as well. Sean Maguire, of course, would be another. Would I want to throw him straight into that game, that big game, and go, yes, on you? I don't know, Joe. There would be probably a reluctance within me. And it's nothing to do with age. It's nothing to do with anything else. It's just, I think that is a hugely pressurised game. 2 games for him to be thrown in as a number 9. Probably, I think the preference even for Mick would be to try to get him onto the bench, have him within the 18, and get him off the bench at some stage if he can. That would be my preference, I'd feel. But if McGoldrick's out, then he's got to be pushing simply for what he's done this weekend.
Yeah, you would get the sense, Kev, that maybe James Collins is a contender. I mean, like, we know, you know that. It's not to stereotype Mick, because it's not fair, because at various times he played Damien Duff through the middle, and but you do feel that, for the type of game that it might be for Georgia and Switzerland, that Mick, if he doesn't have McGoldrick, he's going to want that number 9, that a bit more of a presence. You would have thought that Collins might tick the boxes.
Possibly, but the way that we always think of Mick McCarthy's teams having a big number 9, having a big striker that's going to be able to play, as I was saying before, these back to goal. But in fairness to Mick, he took a chance on someone like Robbie, and I know that Robbie was progressing, but Robbie wouldn't have been the sort of player that would have, Robbie Keane that would have been a stereotypical Mick McCarthy player. He was a player that liked to play on the shoulder defenders, that liked to drop deep, that liked to float into wider areas, that almost was, you couldn't restrict him to the position that he was taking up. So I wouldn't label or pigeonhole Mick McCarthy to say, well, that is his type of player. Yes, McGoldrick would be the player that you'd associate with him. Daryl Murphy for the times that he would have had him at Sunderland and Ipswich as well. But I think Mick is the sort of manager that if someone's playing well and they're going well in training and you impress him, he'll throw you in. Well, and I think that could be the case.
The two things that would jump out at you about Connolly early on are, does he have the technical ability to play a hold-up role if needs be? If it's explained to him, I need you to get on the ball, take a few touches and bring a midfielder into it. Clearly he does. Does he have the intelligence to do that? Clearly he does. You could just see it in his movement at the weekend that he does have smarts about him. What it might come down to is his personality. Like, it was funny, Dan was saying that Mick even referenced your debut against Iceland today just to say, look how brilliant a career Kev had, and yet debuts are tricky. They're new, they're tough. So I guess the unknowable here, from our point of view, is Connolly's personality, his demeanour around the place. Because like Robbie had the swagger and was like, get out of the way, old man, let me in. And we don't know where Connolly is in that spectrum. Yeah,
I spoke to you in reference to myself about my debut, and I genuinely put too much pressure on myself. I'd built it up to be something it probably wasn't. And again, Dan would have seen a lot of him. Dan's probably spoke to him post-match after games and even pre-match. Dan would have spoken to him, and the sense that I get from him, even watching him at the weekend, there doesn't seem he doesn't seem to have that fear within him. He doesn't seem to be the sort of player that would be intimidated about going out to play at the weekend. But it's okay if you go out and you play and you can play with that freedom. But how are we going to get him into the game if we go over to Georgia and Georgia dominate the ball? Because he did it against Denmark as well in their last game. They dominated. So how are we going to get him into the game then? He's coming off the pitch, trudging off the pitch, and he has been a bit isolated. He's not necessarily got himself into the game a lot. That takes discipline for a younger lad. Watching him play for Brighton this season and seeing how they're playing and progressing, he's not restricted to a number 9 if you watch him. And in fairness, the back 3 or back 4, however they've played midfield, there's a lot of flexibility and a lot of movement within the side. We won't play like that. So that's the thing with him. Yeah. Are you going to say to him, you've got a freer role? I don't think Mick can afford to do that, because I think there's too much at stake for these two games.
He's definitely got personality, Kev. There's no doubt about that from everything you hear about him. But I'm just curious, like, you would have seen a lot of players come into the squad during your time. Like, what are the other players looking for from him this week? Like, what are they thinking? Because they'll have heard a bit, and I'm sure there's probably a few of the older fellas are like, what's all this hype about this 21s team? It would probably be a natural sentiment to feel. What are they looking for?
Yeah, I'd probably say they're not looking for anything, but I think they're probably waiting, almost, right, come on then, show me what you've got. Let's see it. And then if it's not quite there on the first day, there's probably a few little whispers getting onto the bus. It's not the best of days, that lad today, has he? That's what generally does happen. I hope he's gone in and played with that swagger that you spoke about there in training today, and in the last couple of days, and he's just gone out and tried to express himself. I don't imagine it'd be any different with him. I can't see it being any different. I think the way that Mick Taylor's training, he would enjoy the type of training that Mick would put on for him. So I think he could express himself.
You'd be fizzing the ball at him 90 miles an hour in the first few minutes of the little five-a-side, wouldn't you?
No, Joe. Well, now you just. Well, I'd say something. Well, you're being a dick now, so I wouldn't do that.
Players would do that, though, wouldn't they?
No, I wouldn't do that to him, and I wouldn't do that to him.
Let's get on to the interesting situation, which is your dancing on ice career.
Is that the only? That's the only thing you want to talk about, Joe. Let's be honest.
It's on Instagram if you want to follow it closely.
Are you being paid by the Instagram? How does this work?
No, I've not. Joe, I'm being serious now. I couldn't get out of bed on Sunday. It was. I've missed 3 days on the ice because I literally couldn't get out of bed on Sunday. Seriously struggling.
Your back.
Been my back. I fell on my back last week. I think I'd said that to you, and it's been quite painful. So, but I've been told by a few people that I'm a soft soccer player. That's what I'm, according to some people. Yeah.
So how many sessions on the ice have you done at this stage, Kev?
4. I've done 4. Yeah. So I'll get another 3 this week, and then I'll be back over to Dublin for a few days, and then I'll be back on the ice again next week. So I'm not behind schedule or anything, because I tried to get a couple in last week as it was, but it's just it's. I tell you what, it's very sobering, realizing how bad I am, and I'm trying to get better and better, and it's just not happening.
Because you should have more coordination, clearly, than a lot of the contestants there. You know, there'll be some of them who just will have no sporting ability whatsoever.
It doesn't matter, Joe.
No, it must matter a little
it's
bit.
different having sporting ability and walking or trying to skate on ice.
But you've got coordination.
Yeah, I probably do. I'll have a little bit of coordination, but it's very different. I honestly, I'm at the moment. My hope is dwindling away. That's what it is.
Really?
He's got to work in tandem with his partner, not overlap them and go on their outside, like would be his natural move.
Yeah,
Dan,
no overlaps.
I'm just with a trainer. I'm literally being coached the basics at the moment. I'm with a trainer and with a coach he's working with me like day in, day out, trying to get me the basics of just basically the basic techniques, and then trying to build from the basic techniques. And the basic techniques for me are tough. So yeah.
Did I see you on the ice with Torval and Dean? Was that part of the thing? What was that experience like?
Yeah, that was quite funny. Well, that's when I fell on my backside. Well, I fell on my back. I genuinely had a heavy fall. I thought I broke my rib. I was in bits, and it was a surreal experience because I'm on the ice and I've got Michael Barrymore and Trisha Goddard helping me up off the floor, and then as I'm being sat down on the side, I'm being comforted by Torval and Dean. So that was a surreal experience. Let me tell you that. I've got two of them with their arm around me trying to help me out. You know, it's what can you say?
Jesus, there's names being dropped everywhere.
It's unbelievable.
You should see the WhatsApp group.
That's how he's got back pain.
Oh, is there a WhatsApp group? Yeah.
There's a WhatsApp group. Yeah.
Oh, I want to look at that.
Who's the most active member of the WhatsApp group?
No, we're not talking. I can't discuss that, Dan. I'm not going to discuss that with you. But it's very active. That's what I would say.
Is H from Steps in your phone now as H, or do you have a full name, or is he just in as H?
No, he's not in. He is in as H. Yeah, not Ian. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
And do you have him in?
Question.
Is it just like Barrymore when the phone rings? Is that how you have him in?
No, Joe, he's not rang me yet. So no, he might never ring me. Let's be honest.
In the photo I saw of you with Torval and Dean, you put it up on your Instagram and you were like, so I can imagine, you know, like how tentative you would be when you're out in the ice, and it's very hard. Obviously, you don't want to fall. So you were kind of, if people hadn't seen it, if they're not on Instagram, they were either side of you, and you were kind of like, well, I mean, it was as if you were squatting over a bog. That's kind of the position you were in. You were like squatting over a bog, rigid.
I think the camera caught me at a bad angle there, Joe. I think I may have been losing my feet, and I was caught, and I've tried to squat myself into a position to soften the fall if I was going to fall. But no, Joe, no, I don't know how they got that photo of me, but it's a great photo nonetheless.
So I wanted to ask, from that squat position, how quickly you got to a point. God, this is great. We've got months of this ahead of us. How quickly you got to a point, genuinely, where you were like, you know, probably a bit of trepidation to been able to even skate reasonably freely and competently, you know, from one end to the other end?
No, I can do that anyway. I can skate freely. I've been able to do that. I've been out skating with my daughters in the last couple of years, but that's not the issue. It's the basic techniques that's around it, where you're trying to skate on one leg and you're trying to get your push-offs and things like this. It's not even making sense to you now, Joe. But I'm trying to get basic techniques right, and I'm struggling with them.
No, I was just pointing because we've put up the picture of you with Torval and Dean, so that's good.
Oh, cheers, right.
It looks like you've been helped off a plane or something. It sort of has that sort of look.
It looks like you've sullied yourself and they're helping you. I would think skating on one leg sounds incredibly tough.
Well, the thing is, when you're pushing off one leg, so one leg, you're trying to get your balance on one leg with one leg going behind you at a certain angle. So then you kick off one leg, bring them together, kick off. So you go left together, right together, and you're trying to kick off and get your techniques like that. Whereas because of my back and my lower back anyway, when I kick off on my right side, I'm all over the place. So as in terms of when I kick off my left and I'm going onto my right leg, I can't pick my left leg up high enough to get it in sync with my right. So it's forcing me all over the place at the moment.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it's not easy.
If that makes sense to you, Joe.
Well, even if it doesn't now, I'll see it in due course, don't worry. It'll be on TV in front of the guts of 10 million people. Have we thought about musical choices yet?
I've been asked about musical choices.
Come on, then.
No, there's no need to talk. We'll discuss that in due course, Joe. Just relax yourself. Don't get ahead of yourself.
Ole,
There's
ole,
a long
ole.
way to go, yeah.
There'll be a big reveal on that at some stage, Joe.
The green and red of Mayo.
Possibly. I can't
Some
confirm
Ireland
or
song.
deny it.
What Ireland song do we want?
It just has to go for the medley from the Alan Partridge. What was the guy from the farmer from Sligo? The men behind the wire. That could be your.
Thanks and gone.
If you could get that on BBC One and ITV in the space of 6 months.
I tell you what, now that's the plan. That's the plan.
And I
honestly.
Mark Murphy, I think.
some kind of green and red sequin outfit as well.
Martin Brennan, that was it, yeah.
Some kind of green and red sequin outfit as well, I presume.
Yeah, I was asked about colours. As well, Joe. Again, I can't, Joe. You know, I'm not going to spoil it. You know, you'll have to wait and see. You have to tune in on the 5th of January, and you'll see.
If people are wondering about the full contestant list, Dan, we have Caprice, we have Trisha Goddard, who Kev mentioned there, morning talk show Trisha, that Trisha Goddard. We have Ben Hanlon, who's an ITV2 magician. I'm not too sure. I haven't come across him. We have Perry Kiley, who's a dancer with diversity.
Oh, yeah.
We have Lisa George, who plays Beth in Coronation Street. We have H from Steps, aka Ian Watkins. We have Michael Barrymore. We have Maura Higgins. We have Libby Clegg, Paralympic gold medalist, first ever blind contestant on the show, which is good luck to her. And then Joe Swash from EastEnders, who plays Mickey. Who have you hit it off with?
Oh, they're all good, yeah. Barrymore's mother's from Belmullet, so, you know, a good Mayo man at heart, you know.
That's all, just Barrymore.
I've got on well with him, having a good crack with him in the WhatsApp group, as I'm saying. So, good. I'm getting on with it, you know.
Well, listen, so when are you back in the ice? When's this back up to scratch?
Yeah, I'll be back. Well, it's sore. It's still sore, but painkillers and everything. I'll be back on tomorrow morning, yeah.
All right, good man. So, Everton, before you go.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you see anything at the weekend, Joe? Did you watch them?
No, I haven't seen much. It's kind of crept up on me that they've lost 4 in a row, and there's even pieces in the Telegraph now. You know, Marco Silva will continue as Everton manager ahead of must-win West Ham match. I didn't realise it had suddenly come to those terms that we're into must-win territory. So they lost 4 in a row. They've obviously spent a lot of money over the summer. He's in his second of a 3-year contract. Yeah. Is it that dire? Is he in that much heat?
Yeah, well, without a doubt, he has 14 goals as well in the last 6 games. You know, they had 2 clean sheets in the opening 2 matches, and they've conceded at least 2 since that. It has been grim, and even at the weekend against Burnley. And I was talking around the game. I was in the BBC studio with John Walters at the weekend. We were chatting away. John obviously has got a lot of knowledge of how Burnley go about things and what Sean Dyche does. And John was talking about the fact that Sean Dyche will target Everton's weakness at set pieces. 22 goals Marco Silva's Everton have conceded since the start of last season. 6 in 8 this season now. And the stat is staggering around Silva as well, Joe. I know you're a good stats man yourself, but 45 goals conceded in 88 Premier League matches since he's come into the Premier League in January 2017, and that's not including penalties. It's every time Everton have a corner against them or a wide free kick, they look vulnerable. It's a setup, and if you watch the goal they conceded at the weekend, Jeff Hendrick getting the goal, it was just, you know, very much worked on the training ground. How do you beat a zonal mark? And I've sat in studio, tried to explain it in the past. You always feel it's either a quick short corner that's moved and you're getting them out of sync, or a near post or a far post corner. There's 3 options that you would try to hit, definitely. And Burnley hit the far post corner, and what Tarkowski did, he just pushed Everton's defence under the ball, wouldn't let them react to the ball that was played beyond them. And Jeff Hendrick just had a free run, no one marking him, no one blocking him when he arrived from the edge of the penalty area. And on the face of it, it's actually a brilliantly worked goal. But that stat, when Everton go down to 10 men at the weekend, the one thing you need to get right is just sort out your set pieces. Don't concede from set pieces and stay in the game. And I thought it was a harsh yellow card, second yellow for Seamus Coleman. But once he got the red, Everton were always going to be a bit more vulnerable because they probably were the better team up to Seamus Coleman getting sent off. And then all of a sudden they conceded from another set piece and it's game over for them. They didn't ever look like they were going to go and get themselves back into the game. So that stat around Silva is alarming. But in the final third of the pitch, Joe, when you're seeing Everton, for all the money that they spend, the player.
Oh, you gone? Gone. Sorry about that.
That was a sudden departure.
Well, I almost know what I was going to say. For all the money they've spent, they haven't really been cutting teams open. And the game I did see Everton live was that Friday night game away to Aston Villa when they were beaten 2-0.
Yeah.
And they were 1-0 down for quite a chunk of that game. And then they were Everton supposedly trying to push for an equaliser. And they really just ran out of ideas. And Villa nicked a goal late on to put a 2-0 sheen on the scoreline. So since then, the 4 defeats, by the way, like they were beaten by Man City.
They played okay against Man City. I actually saw that game.
Yeah.
And they lost to Bournemouth. Was that one of them?
Bournemouth 3-1.
Yeah.
They lost, a killer one is a 2-0 loss at home to Sheffield United. Then came the City defeat and then Burnley at the weekend. So in and of themselves, like nothing disastrous. They haven't taken a 6 or 7-0 hiding. Kev, I presume you were going to say, and it was a point I sort of echoed, having seen the Aston Villa game away that Friday night, that for all the money they've spent, I presume you're about to say they're not exactly lighting it up at the other end either?
No, they're not. And that's what makes the set pieces all the more important for them, given the record from set pieces, which they can't seem to keep sides out against. From the other end of the pitch has got to be right. And Sigurdsson hasn't been firing out. I believe Sigurdsson would have been left out of the side in the Man City game a couple of weeks ago, but Bernard I think he called in sick on the day of the game. Now, if that was the case, you're leaving a £45 million player out the side. Richarlison is another one who's a little bit inconsistent. Another thing that was said to me the other week as well, there's only 6 times since the Premier League's been formed that an Everton player has scored 15 or more goals. And you're going back to Kanchelskis and Cotti being 2 of those in the early 90s.
Right.
Other than that, you've got Yakubu and Lukaku 3 times. So there lies your problem. Everton don't have a player that you've seriously fancied to go and get 15, 20 goals in a season.
Just Kev, on a slight Everton team, but Phil Neville's son, Harvey's been named in an Irish under-19 squad today. This is sort of taking a lot of people by surprise. Was this something, I don't know, did you anticipate this was coming when you were aware of that connection?
No, never. I spoke to Phil around Harvey loads since he's been progressing. So no, I wasn't expecting it. I don't know if it's through Phil's side of the family or his mum's side of the family.
It's the mum's side of the family, yeah.
His maternal grandmother.
Yeah, no, I didn't know anything about that. Phil had never mentioned it to me. Do you want me to elaborate on that?
Well, I mean,
what do you want me to say? I don't know. Fair play to him. I don't know.
You're sort of slightly on the fence about it a bit.
Well, you know what? It's not just because it's Phil's or anybody else.
No.
But you know how I feel about it. I personally, I think that if he's progressing and does well as he gets older and he's in contention for a senior spot, I don't know. I don't agree with getting lads in at that young age to get them in with a view to. I'm sure it's been mentioned to him. Look, if you play well for us, there is still a chance you can go and play for the country that you want to go and play for. I don't believe that's the right way to go about it. I don't think it's the right policy. I don't.
Yeah, now there's quite a number of members of the squad. It must be said. There's a guy at Spurs. There's a couple in a similar boat. Jamie Bowden, who's around the first team at Spurs, has been called into the Ireland squad as well. I mean, it's a friendly match this week, you see. So this is now the culture that at international friendlies, lads can be dropped into the squad really, and it's a free hit for everyone concerned. You know,
it doesn't prohibit them from going back.
No, this is a friendly. This is 2 friendly games. So England are doing it as well. Everyone's doing it. Like that, these squads, these particularly under 17, under 19 level, these friendly windows. It's now commonplace. So it's common practice.
Come in and see how you like it, kind of thing.
Pretty much, yeah. Come and have a look, shop around, basically. Yeah.
Have a look at us, yeah. It is.
Okay. Well, no, it's not great. We're out of time. Kev, thanks so much. Best of luck tomorrow. Yeah, go on.
I just wanted to say well done on your nomination for the IMRO last weekend, Sports Broadcaster of the Year.
Cheers,
really
Kev.
proud of you. Got another nomination, Joe. Well done, mate. Great stuff.
Cheers, Kev. Listen, thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
No, I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you too.